The Spirit of the Cursed Lake is a Norwegian story. Once upon a time, in the deep forests of Norway, there was a quiet lake. The lake was a sacred place for the villagers and had an ancient legend. At the bottom of the lake, powerful spirits lived, and no one was allowed to approach it. Eric, a village boy, was a child with a curious mind. The adults had warned many times not to approach the lake, but Eric could not believe his words. I wanted to know the truth about why the lake is said to be cursed. One evening, when the moonlight illuminated the lake beautifully, Eric finally made up his mind. He sneaked out of the house and started walking towards the lake. The surroundings fell silent, and only the sound of the lake's water surface slowly rippling was heard. When Eric arrived near the lake, he looked up and saw a beautiful band of light floating there. The light seemed to be emitted from the bottom of the lake. Eric was drawn to the light and involuntarily stepped onto the edge of the lake. Suddenly, the water shook violently, and a female figure appeared from the lake. She had long hair and a beautiful face, but her eyes seemed to be filled with sadness and anger. Eric called out to the woman. "You. Is it a lake spirit?" The woman nodded quietly. "Yes, I am the spirit who guards this lake, but I'm cursed." "Curse?" Eric was surprised. "In the past, I was a human. I was a princess who lived around this lake, and the water in the lake was very pure and a source of life for the people in the village. But one day, the prince I believed in with all my heart betrayed me." The woman's voice trembled, tears running down her cheeks. "He deceived me and defiled my lake, so I was cursed forever as the spirit of this lake." When Eric heard the story, his heart ached. "That's a terrible story. What kind of curse did you receive?" "I am trapped in this lake and I have to keep guarding the lake every day so that the water in the lake does not become dirty. But every time someone approaches this lake, they have to take their life. Unless I know how to break this curse, I will have to continue to suffer forever." Eric wondered if he knew how to break the curse. And suddenly, it had an epiphany in my heart. If you were really betrayed by that prince, then in order to break the curse, you must first make the prince's heart redeemed? The woman looked at Eric in surprise. "What do you mean?" "If your prince truly repents and has a sense of atonement against you, the curse may be lifted." Eric continued. "If you can still wait for him and forgive him, wouldn't the curse be lifted?" The spirit thought silently for a while. Eventually, he said quietly, "You may be right, but I thought I was too broken to forgive that prince for betraying me. I can't believe that a young man like you can teach me such an important thing." Eric smiled. "If you can forgive, the curse may be lifted, and the prince must be remorseful. Maybe that prince is also suffering from a curse." The spirit was silent for a long time, but eventually nodded. "I will once again meet the prince and make up my mind to forgive, and I also need to heal my heart to break this curse." At that moment, the surface of the lake shone brightly, and a strong light enveloped the spirit in an instant. Eric felt the spirit changing in the light. The spirit smiled beautifully and said, "Thank you, young man, thanks to you, I can be free from the curse." The light gradually subsided, and the lake regained its tranquility. Eric felt that the spirit was completely freed and set off on his way home with peace of mind. A few years later, a new village was built near the lake, and the villagers no longer approached the lake and lived quietly. However, from time to time, a beautiful female figure appeared on the shores of the lake. She stared at the lake with a smile, continuing to hold a feeling of forgiveness in her heart. End.